there, this is Lydia Stahl, and I'm going to be presenting my presentation for the communications recorded presentation number 2. And so this is going to be on some state requirements for credentialed veterinary technicians, and I chose the state of Massachusetts just because I thought that it was kind of more of a tricky state to talk about, just because their laws are, I believe, in the middle of kind of a change. So for a while, Massachusetts was one of the states where they do not require veterinary technicians to become certified in order to be able to practice as a veterinary technician. So they can learn on the job and acquire the job title of veterinary technician that way, where they acquire on-the-job training. However, that is starting to become phased out, I believe, within the next 5 years. That will not be the case in Massachusetts anymore, and you will be required to attend an AVMA accredited program to have to sit for the VTNEs to then become accredited or to become a CVT. So in other words, you will have to be a CVT in order to obtain that job title of a veterinary technician. So in order to become a credentialed veterinary technician, in order to become a CVT, you must attend an AVMA accredited program, and that can be either a 2-year veterinary technician program or a 4-year veterinary technician program. So after graduation from these programs, which usually do require out-of-school internships or externships as a requirement to even graduate, so you will have to have your degree or graduate from one of these programs in order to sit for the VTNE. So in Massachusetts, you do have to achieve a score of 75 or higher on the VTNE score in order to achieve your certification. And then once you have achieved your certification via the VTNE, which is a lengthy national veterinary technician exam, you have to apply to join the Massachusetts Veterinary Technician Association, which again, other websites that I read say that Massachusetts doesn't require you to join the MVTA in order to be a credentialed veterinary technician. However, there's other websites that say that you do, so because this law is changing, I would definitely suggest for you to join the MVTA, which is an association for all of the veterinary technicians in Massachusetts, and they will receive your VTNE scores if you do apply to join, so they will see exactly what you did score on that test. And there is a membership fee, I believe, yearly, and a requirement of CE credits, which is continuing education credits, so you will need to complete a certain amount of CE credits in order to remain an active member. So yeah, Massachusetts is a bit of a weird one just because we are in kind of a state of flux, as I said, with this new law coming into place. So a question that someone might have is, well, what if, you've been working as a veterinary technician for, maybe 10 years, and all of a sudden this new law comes into play and you haven't gone to an AVMA accredited program. There is a grandfather law, I believe, being set into place, where if you have worked full-time as a veterinary technician for a minimum of 8 years, you qualify to sit for the VTNEs. However, you have to provide certain verification that is the case. And I do want to talk about that a little bit more in my next slide. So taking the VTNE in Massachusetts, you need to cover a few steps, so you definitely need to apply to sit for this exam. You can't just graduate from an AVMA accredited program and just think that you are already qualified. You do need to send in an application with the AAVSB, which is the American Association of Veterinary State Boards. And so to be eligible to take this test, a transcript from an AVMA accredited program must be submitted to the AAVSB directly from the school in which the individual has received their veterinary technician degree from. So the student can't just provide a copy of their, they cannot just provide their own copy of their transcript. It has to be sent directly from the school to the AAVSB in order to be considered a legitimate transcript. So this listing here, the alternate pathways, 8 years full-time experience, only, 3 to 4 states, I believe, in the whole country allow this alternate pathway where you can take the VTNE if you have a minimum of 8 years full-time experience. So there is an application fee to take the VTNEs, which is a good $325. And you do just want to keep in mind that this application process is not instant, that once the AAVSB has received your application, it could take up to 2 to 3 weeks in order for them to process it. So you do need to be a little bit patient with them on that part. And so, this whole process really does take a lot of time, a lot of patience, in order to achieve, the end goal of becoming a CVT in the state of Massachusetts. Kind of switching topics here. VTS, Veterinary Technician Specialist, you can achieve a VTS in a multitude of areas, of specialty areas. One area in which I'm extremely interested in is the zoological medicine area. So there's a lot of requirements to become a VTS in this area of expertise. So you must be a graduate, again, of an AVMA accredited veterinary technician program and credentialed. So you must be a graduate and you need to have a certification. However, it did state that if you reside or you are working in one of the states where you do not need to be credentialed, or where you do not need to attend an AVMA accredited veterinary technology program in order to become credentialed, then you do not need to then attend the AVMA accredited veterinary technology program, if that makes sense. In other words, saying if you live in one of the states where it is not required for you to go to school to take the CVTs, it's one of the states where you can learn on the job for 8 years, minimum full-time experience, then to become a VTS in this field, you do not then have to go to an AVMA accredited veterinary technician program. So after being a graduate, you must be a member of NAVTA, which is the National Association of Veterinary Technicians in America. And you must also be a member of the AZVT, which is the Association of Zoo Veterinary Technicians. The educational requirements for this is that you must have had a minimum of 5 years experience in this specific field of zoological medicine, and this must be completed within 7 years of applying, and you must provide verification of this. So say, you had 5 years experience 10 years ago, that's not going to count. It needs to be somewhat recent. This then requires another minimum of 40 CE continuing education hours in this specified topic, the zoological medicine topic, or any appropriate related topic. And this must also have kind of a time limit of when it can be obtained, which is within 5 years of applying. And again, you need to provide some sort of verification of this, and they do want the topics in which were covered during those CE credits, as well as the speakers' names in which you sat in front of and listened to their lectures. And so after this, completion of an advanced skills list, which you need to be able to master skills that would be necessary to practice as a high level zoo technician or zoo veterinary technician. And this skills list must be filled out by either an already established VTS zoo coworker or a supervising zoo veterinarian. And kind of continuing with this, you will also need to complete a case log that contains a minimum number of 40 individual cases, medical or surgical cases, and these can only be recorded a minimum of up to 3 years prior to the application submitted, and it must be reflective of the management of the patient and mastery of advanced skills required on the advanced skills list. So some of the things that you are going to be covering in these case logs need to be indicative of those skills that were required on your skills lists. So then you also need 5 detailed case reports chosen from the case log required above, and they must include the following species. They must have including a mammal or mammals, avians, birds, herpetiles, which can include fish and invertebrates. You must also have 2 letters of recommendation from 3 categories of supervisors, AVZMTA member, an Academy of Veterinary Zoological Medicine Technicians. So you must have a letter from someone who is a member of the AVZMTA, a letter from a diplomat of the American College of Zoological Medicine, and a supervising zoo veterinarian. And that is the end of my slideshow. Thank you so much.